Join us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to, and I cannot believe this is the 14th episode of the Justice is Here podcast. I'm so glad to be joined for the 10,859th time. Paris is going to be here. I'll let him introduce himself for those that do not know. But I'm glad you all join us. I have let me tell you something. I have a bunch of announcements to get to, bunches of them. And I'm going to drop them as I go during the show, but I'm going to do them now. And then as the show goes on, I am going to pop them in. So first, we want everybody to visit the justiceforall.us website. Go to the official website, justiceforall.us. Justiceforall.us. One more time, that is justiceforall.us. Subscribe to this channel. Our goal is to get to 1,000. This helps us to get the message of the Justice for All party out there so more people can learn about it. So please subscribe. We have 364. So we're a little bit away from our goal, but every subscription counts. Follow the Justice is Here podcast on TikTok. Whenever I figure out how to use TikTok, that's when I will go live on TikTok. But right now, we're just going to keep trying. Also, you can definitely follow the Justice is Here podcast on Blue Sky because I post all episodes there, so you can definitely do that. Here's another one I don't know, Instagram. So once I figure out how to go do photos on Instagram, you can follow the Justice for All podcast on Instagram. Definitely help us to get 50 likes and 35 shares. Remember to comment. And here is the big announcement. Mark your calendars. Saturday, August the 30th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. Join us for the Justice for All Fundraising-A-Thon. That is right. We're going to have a fundraising-a-thon. One whole evening starting at 6:00 p.m. We're going to our goal is to raise $25,000. You all know I have that Team Tracy for Justice for All. We're going to finish out raising it. We're going to have, hopefully, musical guests, special guests. So I'm leaving this up here for a while on purpose. Mark your calendars right now for the Justice for All Fundraising-A-Thon. I could not think of a better name, but that's what I thought of. So that's what it's going to be. So, we also will be talking about how people can get involved or establish local justice for all parties. And final announcement, join Tracy Media Group mailing list. If you want to get reminders in your mailbox each month about other podcasts I have going, just hit that website, type in your email address, and I will not sell your emails. So here we go with our guests, and we'll get started. We got Libre software, and I'm not going to try it. So it just says, hey, I decided I wanted to come on. This is more important than work. Let me log onto my laptop. I don't know. Oh, okay. Oh, it's Elias. Hi, Elias. How are you? And yes, the offer is definitely open for you to come on and join us. Definitely. So we have a little crowd here. Paris, how are you doing?
I am doing well, Tracy. Thank you. How about yourself?
Oh, Tracy had a day today.
Oh, she had a day.
You will not believe him. My hair was full of curls this morning. It really was. It was all like nice and fresh and like curls everywhere. Stepped outside, gone. Just like
So what happened? It wasn't the wind.
it was
Today
this.
was one of the most mild.
It heated up. Gray hair does not hold curls. See, you're male, so you don't really know this. Um, Gray hair does not hold curls at all. Does not, will not, ain't gonna. But it looked way better than this. I'm telling you, it looked really, 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 really nice. And now I just look like I just stepped out of bed. I mean, I don't look quite that bad, but I'm like, ooh.
You look good, Tracy. And it's good to be a part of your podcast again. And I am very familiar with how gray hair responds. My gray hair is a little more coarse than the regular or natural color. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
Rude by way MC, i.e. Tim is in the house. I saw yeah. If you got Facebook, look at the picture, because that picture, oh, you couldn't talk to me in that picture. I was like, yeah, my ego was on 10. Got outside, went down to 3. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got justice for all we're definitely going to talk about. But I got to get to, I don't know if I want to call him nitwit in chief, because Bible teaches me I have to pray for my leaders, and boy, I struggle. Ooh. I'm like, oh, look, you really mean this? You really mean this? But I want him gone. Like, Lord, get him out. I can't no more. There's been some really strange things. We had the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow on my show, Tracy's Weekend Review. Okay, I'm going to send you the link, Elias, to check your email here in a second. But it seems like this administration, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I heard somebody say that he's intent on destroying democracy. And I contend we never had a democracy, we have more of an oligarchy. But it seems like it's just evil. I've never seen it where you're telling people, sending people off to jails. I mean, this was happening in like Nazi Germany. Unless I'm just missing something. I could literally be missing something. And you can respond anytime you want to.
Oh, yeah. Before I respond to the current issue, I wanted to revisit a topic that you and I talked about the last time I was on your podcast. It was the modern monetary theory. I did look into it, and I found that I was correct. We do pay into the taxes. It's called FICA, comes out of our paycheck.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It comes out of our paycheck. A percentage of that goes to Social Security. Another percentage goes to Medicare. Now, in addition to that, what I found out about MMT, or modern monetary theory, is that it's just that. It's a theory. It's not a theory. It's not based in evidentiary proof. There's no real science. It's just a theory. And there's several theories posited. Some of them actually contravene what MMT talks about. The biggest issue I had with MMT is the unbridled spending. When you have someone like Trump and Musk in charge of the Treasury, they will justify spending anything without having a real need to balance the budget. So it's very antithetical. Again, your guest that night was very articulated. I appreciated the fact that he was passionate about what he was saying, but there's just some additional questions that absolutely need to be answered before I can fully embrace MMT.
And I get that. And that's why, when I had him on, I was like, look, here's how I feel. When I don't know something or I've never heard of something, it's like, okay, I got to learn about it. So I think what I was doing was I was asking questions that like a first time person would want to hear. But that's probably one of my most popular videos. And people are like, oh, bring this guest back. And I'm working with him to actually come back so that we can answer those questions.
Yeah, I think that would be
but it's because if I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, we do actually. When I think about the fact we spent $300 million on one war,
how much we spent?
$300 million per day on one of those wars. One of them, Iraq, Iran. Elias, I can't find your email address. I don't know where it is. So if you're listening, email me. You know my email by now, but I could not find it. But if Paris has it, he can send the link to you because I don't have it. Because I'm sitting here looking like I don't have it.
Let me see. I do have his email.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Tracy. I'm going to send it to him.
But it's one of my most it's probably one of the most popular videos that I've literally ever done. People are like, oh, you got to bring this guest back. I have so many questions. I'm like, okay. And sometimes I don't know what to ask, especially when I don't know.
Okay.
When I don't know something, I just start asking questions.
And that's probably the best thing to do, or ask him again, like you said, come back after I do my homework and I look into exactly what you're saying, what MMT is, some of the criticisms leveled against it, and some of the things that, sound like they're doable. But again, it's all theoretical, right? And whenever you deal with theory with best guess, that's exactly what it is. It's nothing more than that. So it's not quite hyperbolic. It's not that bad, but there are no real scientific analysis when it comes to the theory.
Yeah, because I, like I said, I still get emails on that one. And he was on like weeks ago.
Right.
And I'm
He's
like,
a great presenter. Yeah, he was a great presenter.
Like people are still like, yeah, could you bring back that one guy? I'm like, yes, I'll bring him back. And I think that's like I said, we're working on it. And I even suggested doing an MMT for dummies type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I'm not saying I'm stupid, but I think what I know about the economy or economics, like what went up my head.
Right. And there's a stratification of MMT. You can't just have an introductory training. You need to get, re-educated time and time again until you fully understand and embrace it. Again, I spent a lot of time just going into the details of it, finding out what it was, what it represents, why people are so passionate, including your guest that night, about MMT, and then what are the big fallacies. There he is. Hello.
Yes, hello.
I don't want to interrupt your thought. I even felt bad just texting while you're trying to talk about modern monetary theory. I'm like, hold on, I don't want to derail your thought because I know that stuff's like complicated even for me to understand too. So,
yeah, we were just talking about the last time I was on her show. She mentioned MMT and how her guest was saying our tax dollars, the FICA dollars, don't go into paying for Social Security and Medicare, when actually it's stipend for that. Now, whether the government uses that money for that particular purpose or not, it is protected for that reason. Just like when I first started working in corporate America, there was what we called a pension. The pension was absolutely indemnified. You couldn't touch it. You had to leave that money alone. You couldn't invest it. You couldn't do anything with it. again, you couldn't do certain things with it. It was invested, but you couldn't do certain things with it. You had to protect that money. That's pretty much what FICA does. And then again, there's an employer matching contribution as well that goes into those particular funds. So the most important thing to remember for anyone is that it is not an entitlement. We need to change our language. It is something that is earned because we paid from our hard-earned salaries into that particular fund or those two particular funds.
So I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree, but that's okay, because the more articles I'm reading about MMT, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. So, I mean, I've done a lot of research. Like after that, I was just like, read everything about MMT, everything. I'm like, it doesn't quite, because basic, everybody, the government can do whatever it wants to do. When it wants more, it can find money. Can't find money to feed children, because I'm going to talk about Indiana's governor and how he's a piece of. How you going to cut funding for school lunches? How do you sit? How do you sleep at night? Like what? Like, oh, well, it's just the summer. Like, what makes you think, oh, this is a great idea?
Yeah, the governor is just as bad. So go ahead, Elias.
I was just gonna say, a lot of the stuff that they're doing now, forgive me for being blunt, but they did all this stuff to minorities first to try it out, and then now the white people are seeing it, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, guys, hold on a minute. They're getting rid of the school lunches. It's like, well, they were getting rid of black schools in public schools in these different areas because they didn't want to have to give equal rights to equal people or have the integration to schools. We've seen how Trump the other day was like, we're righting a historical wrong by getting rid of protections against what was the thing about desegregation? I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. How basically the Supreme Court overruled the desegregation in schools ruling so that they could bring back segregation, make segregation great again.
Brown v. Board, Brown v. Board.
They reversed it basically.
Right, yeah, and I don't know if you all get this vibe from me at all, but like I'm part black. I'm pretty light skinned, but like I'm part black and like half my family is black, so I'm big up on the whole like the black community issues and stuff like that, man, because it's my family, it's my people. I see it as my people too, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to say, what's up, my, or whatever. I wouldn't say that, you know what I mean? But I would be like, these are my brothers, you know what I mean? So, and literally I do have actually, I have two, half brothers. I just consider, my brothers, but half brothers that are black, you know what I mean? So all those issues that affect minorities affect me pretty directly as well, because like even like in the area I live in, I'm living in a heavily like a Latino area, and so people are scared to even like go out, or you know what I mean, or so a lot of around here not that much people.
In Indiana, because I don't know what state you're from, Elias.
California.
Oh, you live in a blue state, so you may have it a little better. But in Indiana, there was a bill that would let ICE come into houses of worship. And if they've suspected a person that was undocumented, they could just go right in there and just check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Who sits here? Oh yeah, praise the Lord. Oh wait a minute, let me duck. Like what? What?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's my first question for either of you. When will Americans say, you know what? I'm tired of this. I can't anymore. This is just like, I'm like, y'all got to be like, I say this every week. Like, I don't want to run for office. That's not my lane. But some of these people is really making me like second guess myself, because I'm like, this is terrible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I'm glad we have a Justice for All party, because we actually get a chance to speak versus, a lot of times if I try to talk to, and I'm going to ask you what you were going to ask me about, Paris, because I feel like you were going to say something. But, when you go into like the Democratic or like, it's just say mainstream, like, even if you're working for like nonprofit, if you're trying to talk in those mainstream circles, to go on about, your political theory, that's not really socially acceptable. You know what I mean? It's got to be Democrat or Republican, or nothing. And so that's why I'm just glad that there is a justice for all party, so that people can actually, speak a little bit more of their mind. And, obviously we're not going to allow any, Nazi talk or whatever, but, we're going to allow people to speak their mind to some degree. Now, were you going to say something, Paris, or so I feel like I cut you off there?
Address your initial concern about first they came for, right? The African Americans. But then when it hit home for other Americans, that's when they started questioning, throwing their hands up in the air, clutching their pearls. It reminds me of a couple of historical ideas. One by Martin Luther King. He said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
All right. Yeah.
You don't have to believe that initially. While others are being treated unjust, you can just sit back and watch it unfold until it comes to your door. The other, and I've quoted this, I think, every time I've been on the show, is by, I have to get his name, but it was a German who was a Methodist preacher who found the hard way when he said, first they came for, right, the socialist. I wasn't a socialist, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the communist. I wasn't a communist, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Jews. I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out. What that means is you can sit by and watch everyone else and their civil rights be abrogated, their human rights be violated, and one day it's coming to your door. And those people are finding out in this state specifically, and in pretty much a large scale, the country, that you can't just sit by and watch others be treated horribly and think somehow it's okay because it's not me.
Yeah.
Niemöller is the one.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Bonhoeffer, but you're right. Yeah. Because Bonhoeffer is totally different.
Bonhoeffer has a great quote. Bonhoeffer was also a preacher. He was actually killed. Niemöller survived Nazi Germany. Bonhoeffer was killed. He was murdered.
Yeah.
Just think about, and this, I talked about this when I had another guest on the podcast, and I still struggle with this because I don't even know how to say this, but I'll just say how I say it. Unfortunately, sometimes I feel like, you know what? It's going to take a Trump to see just what you get. You stayed at home. You didn't show up. You didn't vote for Dr. Cornel West, which would have been the best choice, in my opinion. And so now, oh, ha, ha. Then the other side of me says, no, Tracy, you can't be like that because people are suffering. And you gotta fight for people that don't necessarily want to be fought for. Right?
Yes.
I gotta fight for the Democrat that stays in the Democratic Party, even though 15 million things wrong with the Democratic Party. So I'm always warring it with myself on that. I'm just like, yeah, just what you get. Ha, ha, ha. And then I'm like, I can't feel like that.
Yes. I'm a big fan of like the open source free software movement as well. And one of the guys from that movement is a quote that I use a lot now too. He said, people get the government their behavior deserves, but people deserve better than that. So that kind of sums up what you're saying as well. Richard Stallman, that's a quote from Richard Stallman. He has his own controversies or whatever as well, but he's generally a pretty left-wing type of guy. I got into this thing mainly because, in 2020 I voted for, Biden or whatever, because I was like, well, he's going to fight back against the fascists. And I think even Cornel West might have said something similar. He's like, well, he's going to help us build an anti-fascist coalition or whatnot. And like Cornell, I felt like, well, he betrayed that because now we're going to Gaza. And even the Ukraine thing, I'm still very torn on the Ukraine thing because I know that, me being an LGBT person or whatever, I won't get into like whatever, all the this or that thing. But like, dude, like they don't allow gay stuff over in Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like you can't be openly gay or whatever in Ukraine. So they don't have and we're just like the people we're looking up to, even like Biden, we're looking up to like people the left look up to Biden or Kamala Harris or whatever. And it's like the same thing Cornel West says about her. Like God bless her. She's a woman who went past the glass ceiling and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, we got to be against this military industrial complex that's teaching us all to dehumanize other people, because it's all just going to lead back to the same thing, which is the fascism.
And that's what's most disconcerting. Tracy, you had posited the question, when are people going to stand up, something to that degree. And if we look at historical precedent, and I always encourage people to think historically, not myopically, right? Not binary at the moment, but see if there's precedents here. And if you look at the precedents, in some cases, we don't do anything until it's too late.
Exactly, until it comes to our front door.
Yeah, remember the book I often quote, and I'm going to do it again because I absolutely believe it's a must read. If you haven't read it yet, please. It's online. You can do the PDF version. It's called They Thought They Were Free.
I'm looking it up on eBay right
now. ... which is an epsilon, right? Until it was too late. And it talks about Nazi Germany and what happened prior to Nazi Germany. Milton Meyer was a journalist from America who went to Germany after the fall of Nazi Germany, and he began to ask questions. What happened? How could you let this happen on your watch? Right? And the response was, well, it didn't happen overnight. Right?
Nope, it never does.
There were interstices. There were moments. There were things that happened gradually. As a matter of fact, when things began to happen at muzzle velocity, to borrow a term, you became so overwhelmed, you felt confused, you didn't know where to stick up for yourself, your rights, others' civil and human rights. So you just felt overwhelmed and you chose not to do anything because you just didn't know where your voice was going to be heard. You felt defeated, right? Demoralized. And that's exactly what authoritarianism needs in order to accomplish their ultimate goal, right? They just need people to sit by and do nothing.
Nothing, yep.
Wait for the fall. And a couple other things I wanted to say. It was subtle. And when you read the book, what you're going to find is the contrasts, right? The correlations that are taking place here in America, bit by bit, day by day. And Tracy, you mentioned earlier about the mayor,
Governor,
the mayor,
the mayor,
Ras Baraka being
getting arrested in Newark, New Jersey. Yeah.
Unprecedented event. We've never seen anything like it, and it was also telecast. We were able to see the video of this happening. This guy is the mayor of the entire city. He's on public property, and yet he's arrested for protesting. I looked him up. He is a very woke mayor who fights against incarceration at all levels. And that's why he was there protesting what ICE was doing at that particular facility. And for them to have the unbrazen and unmitigated temerity to arrest him for exercising his First Amendment right, the first, not second, not fifth, not seventh, the first, that was his First Amendment right to protest because they denied him access. Remember, he wanted to go in there and monitor what was going on, which as the mayor of the city, he has
the right to do.
Every right, yes.
Yeah, every right. And I think Mark said this when he was on last week. Because if y'all watched last week, and if you haven't watched the past episodes, there's a playlist where you can watch all the episodes of the Justice is Here podcast. But I was talking about the hands-off protest. which personally, I still think it's a movement to get people sheep herded back into the Democratic Party. I'm going to stand on it. That's what I think. You're not going to change my mind. I don't care what you say. That's what it is to me. Because Democratic legislators actually spoke at the event. Did you see Dr. West speaking at that event? No, you did not. Did you see Jill Stein speaking at that event? No, you did not. They knew who they wanted to invite, blah, blah, blah. But Mark said something that I don't know if I'm going to be on the committee or do committee work yet, because I have to kind of, in my mind, make up my mind what I want to do. He said, how about showing up at the protest and talking about the Justice for All party? Boy, I was flabbergasted. I was like, I literally didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Tracy, I introduced to you a couple of weeks ago, for the viewers of this podcast, we have a steering committee. And what the steering committee was charged to do was come up with a certain etiquette for the national committee. And then once we do that, we turn it over to the national committee, where there are several members on the steering committee who are very thoughtful, articulate, and they have a divergent ideas of this particular protest that are taking place. And what I asked Tracy to do is pull together a panel or just a discussion of the committee, so people out viewing can see just how diverse we are in thought, just how diverse we are in intellect, just how diverse we are in emotional quotient, and how we all come together to make this movement happen and hand over to the national committee. So I'm still encouraging you, let's have that conversation, because what you talked about and the individual who introduced that came up with a great idea. But I think there's also ideas in addition to that that need to be considered at the table. That's why I think we should have a round table, a discussion on that particular topic.
I'll put it to you, Piers, because you know me. Tracy don't beg people. Tracy will not do it. She ain't gonna do it. She ain't got time for it. She don't. But I would be very interested in doing it.
Okay.
And I'll leave my thoughts, because you know when we do this show Saturdays, like I said, the month of July is clean open. I have no guest schedule for July. Now that first Saturday in June, that's the other announcement. There will not be a Justice is Here podcast that first Saturday in June, because I am doing for the 4th time the Black Exodus Forum. But this year I got total of 5 Black females, and we're going to have an interesting discussion. We're going to have Democrats, we're going to have Republicans. Couldn't find a Trump support. Could not find a Black female Trump support. I just couldn't. But we're gonna have. That's the only time that we don't have something. Like that's the only time I've just said no. So everything after that, I say pick a date. That's what I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I'll start recruiting for the month of July, which gives us a couple of months to kind of prepare and get ready for it. You know, one more thing I wanted to share, going back to your original question. When are people going to hit the streets? When are they going to say enough is enough? And my subsequent response was, it may already be too late. In the book, they thought they were free. There is a Latin term, principiis obsta et finem respis, which means you need to start resisting at the very beginning signs
you sure do.
Of authoritarianism, of totalitarianism, of fascism. Because if you wait too long, it might be too late. Now, doesn't mean you give up the fight, right? Finem respis means until the end. We have to fight this thing until the end. The question is, and I'm curious to see what the two of you think, have we crossed that line where it's too far gone and we can't go back? We'll never go back to what we once were. The entire world knows.
Wait a minute. I'm going to answer it before Elias says, do we want to go back? I don't want to go back to, and I don't know when you say go back.
When I say go back, what I mean is having some monicum of a respectable government. We may not agree.
Oh, we've never had that. We've never had that.
It's been one of decorum, of etiquette. It has. Now
I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
their exercise and their policies weren't necessarily respectful, but their conduct, right? When you were in the house, it was supposed to be sacred. You conduct yourself a certain way, right? That's not the case anymore. And I'm not talking about their policies. I'm not talking about their sentiment. I'm not talking about anything like that, because we understand, all three of us as African Americans, a lot of the policies that are handed down help create the margins that we experience in our community, as far as wealth gap, as far as health gap, as far as unemployment. You go down the list. So we understand that. I'm just saying there was some, and the world respected us, like it or not. The world respected America. May not have liked what we were, what we stood for, but we had a level of respect around the world that is no longer there. I mean, when Canada, right, your greatest ally, can come out and rebuke you publicly, you've got some big problems, right? When Europe and the European Union and the rest of the world, Japan, when Japan can speak with such vitriol against what we're doing with these tariffs, right? These taxes, we have more problems than we'd like to consider. And what I mean by going back, I mean going back to that. No, we
Oh, I thought, now you're not talking about going back to when women couldn't vote and now it's 3/5 up. Okay, that's what I thought.
You know me better than that, Tracy.
Looky here.
You know me better.
Black conservatives have been showing they tail all week long. I don't know anybody.
Are you lumping me with black conservatives? With boot?
No, I said no. I don't know who's conservative anymore.
Are you?
I'm not lumping you in with anybody. I'm just trying to make sure I understand you.
Okay, yeah. Don't mention me with those.
But they have been showing their whole tail this week. I'm like, really? Y'all go really?
What did you say? What did you say?
Me?
Tracy.
Yeah. No, I said they've been lumping. They've been showing their whole tail this week.
Okay. Yeah.
No, but
go ahead.
I want to move to, before I move on to my next topic, I want to move to some comments. And guys, keep your comments coming. We got a good crowd out there. But I didn't check in with the comments here. So Rude by way, or who I'm just gonna say, Tim says Richard Wolf would be another good comment.
2 thumbs up for Richard Wolf. 2 thumbs up.
See, I can get these people if I had more subscribers. Because, see, it's hard to get people to come on when you got 364 subscribers. So, if I could bump up the subscribers, that'd be great.
Leverage your network. He's a good friend of Cornel West's.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yes. Him and Cornel West have been on programs together.
See, I didn't. But I still need subscribers.
Yeah, don't stop that. Make sure that you get more subscribers. But I'm saying leverage your network.
Yep. Okay. Then Nelson, hello, cousin Nelson. Rain is good as long as it doesn't flood. So I guess Tim is having some flooding issues. Hope you're doing okay. I moved 1.5 blocks from the river to higher ground after Helena flooding down here. Hope you're doing okay. Let us know. MMT expert Stephanie Kelton. That's who I'm trying to get next, because Stephen Grumbine, the person who I had on, talked about MMT, says she would be good. So that's who I'm actually trying to get. Okay. The government can't find money to pay cash reparations for Black American freedmen of chattel slavery. They could, but they just don't want to. Racism equals economic pain. Unfortunately, MMT only works as long as the world runs on petrodollar, which is not going to thanks to Trump trade war. We need to get to the subject of removing FICA cap from Social Security in the Justice for All party. So See, Nelson, I'm not on the steering committee. I'm just an observer. So me,
Right.
making suggestions like that. But what you could do, since you have obviously advocated for it, you could make that suggestion. But
Right,
I'm
and
gonna
that's
go.
something that the national committee could consider, and I'm
Yeah,
sure they will. I don't know. I can't say for certain, but I believe that that will be something the national committee will consider.
yeah. Michael, I'm about to disagree with this. Tracy, people who are undocumented need to be deported. I definitely wholeheartedly disagree with that. However, I agree with you that ICE agents have made a judgment error. Yeah, there's so I want to stay on this one because I definitely disagree with that. Um, because my people came here as undocumented workers. Matter of fact, we were forced. We were forced workers that never out. We was in Africa minding our own business,
So,
mind our own.
so did their people, Tracy. So
Mhm,
let's not get it mixed up. So did their people.
true, but I'm just saying we didn't bring our. I didn't get here on my own, right? So somebody had to go to Africa to bring my ancestors here. I have no problem with undocumented workers. I don't believe there should be borders. That's just a me. That's a Tracy thing. That's a Tracy thing. Um, I have a problem with the corporations that pay them low wages.
Below minimum wage and under the
Yeah,
table.
below
Yeah.
minimum wages. That's what I have a problem with. So if you're going to deport somebody, I say deport the corporations that are paying low wages on purpose. Now that's what I say, but that's just me thinking.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Go
And
ahead.
here
Go ahead,
comes the
Elias. Go ahead, Elias. I agree. Go ahead, Elias. I want to hear from you.
Oh no, actually, I was just gonna see if we could roll back. I know I don't want to roll back the clock too much, but just on the thing because about the when do we think we're gonna go back to some sense of decorum in the country? Permission to speak on that one. Yeah, is it
yes.
good? Okay,
Roll
okay,
call,
okay.
yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so anyway, basically, I have that conversation with my family a lot nowadays. I'm more on the side of, I'm thinking maybe 10 to 20 years. My mom, for example, she thinks as soon as he is out of office, like she thinks he's going to be out of office after his term is up or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think that he's going to, and even if he does, get out of office, then they're going to get like his son or because all those Federalists, they always have like their family or whatever be the next one in line. So I'm sure it'll be like Eric Trump or whatever. But I'm thinking maybe like 10 to 20 years before we get to the point where we have like a society, get back to a society where people show basic respect to each other. Because I'll tell you, even just being a light skinned queer person, I get a lot of the disrespect already. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine what it's like for y'all with the darker skin tone, what you have to deal with people that are just disrespectful for no dang reason.
Yeah, the
They can hate all day
melanated
long.
people.
Yeah, us. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Here comes the running joke. I knew you was gonna make this joke. I knew you was gonna make this
That
joke.
has to be Timothy, right?
Yes.
I see
Like,
you, Timothy.
see, no. Yes for those two, no for me. It's a solid no. Solid. But I'm telling you, this governor, who child, who child. I'm just like, can't nobody beat that evil. Can't nobody beat the evil. I'm like, yeah, they can. Um,
Trace, you want to talk? You've mentioned that a couple of times. You
I'm
want
gonna
to
talk
go
about
over
that on my
some of
show
the things.
tomorrow.
What you want to just go over some of the things that he's done here. You don't have to go through the laundry list.
Yeah, I will
Just
since
some of
you
the things
asked.
so people can get an idea
So yeah,
of why
our
you
governor
refer to
of
him twice.
Indiana, Brom, has did a lot of stupid things. One, he wants to get rid of property taxes, which property taxes fund public schools. He's against public schools because he wants the public schools to basically be turned into charter schools. That's one thing. Then the second,
I would like to add he's against public school because he's against minorities having access to education as well, because
oh no,
minorities can't afford no private school either. Just
oh but
wanted to
wait,
add that.
there's more. He also wanted to, and thank goodness this bill got defeated. He wanted to limit limit people getting Medicaid to just 3 years. He cut Medicaid funding for autism. He wants to overtake the IU, Indiana University Board of Trustees, and put in his own people and produce it, not on our watch. So that's being taken to court. And there's a federal program that's funded that Trump somehow didn't cut that would provide free summer meals to children, during the summer months when they're not in school, not eating. Not going to do it. But yet his $1.5 million mansion, he gets a new heliport, he gets renovations, but somehow children won't get to eat this summer.
Is that a vacuum I hear in the background?
Yes, I say, is that a vacuum?
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, if you want to commute, it's just somebody. My neighbor is like doing the leaf blower or something. Hold on, I'll mute my.
Oh, he got rid of himself.
He got rid of himself. But yeah, it's
exit stage left.
Oh my goodness, that man is literally making me think, you know what, Tracy? Only thing you can do is run, because I can't be as bad as this person. I can't be. Of all the things I am, I'm a lot of things. Number one, I have a smart mouth. Number two, I'm black in Indiana trying to run for governor. That's not gonna really work. I'm in the wrong state for that. Like if I was in a state like Michigan or maybe Illinois, okay, maybe, but I don't think Indiana's ready for somebody like me. I really don't. But yeah,
I guess they had Mayor Pete or whatever, but he's like the perfect. It's the same thing as with Obama. The only reason they elected him is because he acted white or whatever, you know what I mean? Where same thing with Pete, not Pete Hicks, but what's the Pete Buttigieg?
Yep.
Because he acted like an upstanding, white American male citizen and all that kind of stuff. If he was acting like rowdy or whatever, it would have never, I mean, if it would have been like the gay people or whatever that I hang around with, I don't think any of those guys that I hang around with could be elected, because they don't act like politicians. They act like they're gay guys and they're trying to meet other gay guys.
They act like human beings. They embrace their humanity.
This is the other problem I have with the hands-off protest. It includes NATO, and y'all already know. Y'all don't watch this show enough. No, NATO should have been gone years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago. But I'm going to get through these comments before I get on to my next thing. The people are suffering due their own ignorance. If you don't see the two options they are offering you, you're not good enough. Then you have to go for a third or suffer the consequence. Absolutely removing FICA. I was about to say something else, Tracy. You don't even cuss. FICA cap at Nelson. So yeah, apparently that's a good topic to talk about. Tobias, your t-shirt is absolutely positively on the way. I have to order it, but if you watch tomorrow, remind me, please. Ask Dr. West, because I don't have Dr. West's phone number, but I know that he knows Dr. West. I will do that. And let's get Tracy. Yeah, that last part. Let's get Tracy more subscribe. That last part, I mean the first part, but the last part, yes. Governor, absolutely. Governor racist DeSantis floated ending property taxes. Yeah, I'm like, if you end property taxes, I think people hear stuff like politicians are really good at this, which I'm not, because I'm just gonna honestly tell you the truth. If you end property taxes, how are you gonna fund schools? Like, how does that work for you? Oh, and then he raised income tax. So yeah, income tax in Indiana is gonna be 8% now instead of 7%. But hey, whatever. But I want to move on to talking about the Justice for All Steering Committee and talk about, and just as an FYI statement of this honesty, I'm on the steering committee as an observer, which I quite don't know, because I've been there since the very beginning. I don't know quite what my role is versus Pierce and Elias's role, but it's different. I just can't explain to you how, but I want you guys to talk about what you've done so far, where you're headed, and where you want to go.
Who's gonna go first for that?
I'll let Elias, you go first.
Okay. Well, basically, I just, for me, it's all about just trying to get third parties on the ballot in general. I support Cornel West the most at all third parties, but I did previously support in 2016. I supported Jill Stein. But basically, I joined the Cornel West 2024 campaign back in like March, I think, of last year or something like that. And now started from the bottom. Now we're here, or whatever. Now we're here and doing the steering committee thing. My goal with the JFA party is just to be at least put a place for help create that space for the marginalized people, because the thing is, the Democratic Party really only allows politically correct versions of speech that's not that just really don't really reflect what most people think. I mean, most people aren't just like, yeah, well, we should just let them, throw Mexican women on the ground and tackle them and yank their baby away from that kind of thing. There should be no decorum. It should be like, we need to just get rid of the ICE, whatever we got to do. You know what I mean? Even if it's like, I don't know, man. But the thing is, main thing, is I just want to be part of the committee in the sense of allowing to just be another voice for the voiceless, like Cornel West says, just raise up the voice of the voices, because I want to represent, like I said, partially the African American thing, even though, like I said, that's mainly my family, but also the LGBTQ. I want to make like a LGBTQ like committee of some sort for the JFA, so that they can have like their own section where they can feel, more. Although we all know that the JFA party is rapidly in favor of LGBT rights, I want to make sure they have a place where they can feel like, hey, I'm around other people that get it and they're like me and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Even though we are all like each other because we're brothers and sisters in this human race, but for anybody that's still confused on it, because I know when I first realized that I was who I was, I felt like, nobody gets it. They don't understand. They don't know what it's like or whatever. And I think it'd be good to just have that committee for the LGBTQ, so that they can maybe even be like a starting point, and then they can join the normal party functions. So sorry for that long explanation, but yeah.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it and support exactly what you're elocuting there. We do need someone who lives in that body, who understands that community better than we do. Our Justice for All party stands for justice, truth, and love, right? How do we love everybody if everyone isn't represented? We need everyone's voice at the table. As far as the steering committee is concerned, our job was to strategize what the national committee will look like, what officers will be seated, what goals that they'll embrace, what the posterity of that committee will look like. And that's what we've been deliberating about over the last few months. I think it's been about that long. So we took very serious the appointment we were given. And again, as I shared earlier in this podcast, we are impaneled by some of the best thinkers, very articulate and thoughtful people who share one thing in common: the idea around justice, truth, and love.
Why did I join for a whole different reason?
Are you just finding that out after all these weeks?
Yeah, you know what? For me, I'm going to take a step backwards to go forwards. When Dr. West announced his candidacy for president, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, I'm doing a podcast. That was literally, Elias, you don't know this. So I used to have this podcast called Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. This podcast, Justice is Here, is kind of a spin-off of it. So I was like, I'm doing a podcast. Point blank period. That's what I'm doing. That's what I want to talk about. At first, it was going to be just me talking. And then I watched the episode and I was like, ooh, no. Let me find some other people. And then Paris and I connected when he was still with the Green Party, gathering signatures. There was never, and I didn't join the party because of Dr. West. Let's get that straight, because I don't worship nobody but Jesus. That's who I worship. Mm-hmm. But the platform that this party has is literally the best platform I have ever read. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody, any party that's talking about eliminating homelessness, $27 an hour living wage. That's the message that I want people to get. Mm-hmm. I wish I was a better communicator, because I feel like I do too many and but that's the intention of me doing a podcast like that, to let people know, hey, you're not by yourself. There's a group of people that will listen to your political views. Now, if you're, Nazi jerk, no, we're not listening to you. If you're racist or homophobic or transphobic, no, boy, girl, bye. But if you are what I call the common sense person, your voice will be heard. Now, we may tell you what you're thinking is silly, like, hey, let's give marijuana to children. Don't come to me with that, because you gonna probably fight. But if you say, maybe, and I'm not for the legalization of it, that's a whole different topic. But I understand as a party, the party is for the legalization, and me coming under the party means, I'm gonna have to, make some adjustments. But that's what the political process is. It's making an adjustment, but not leaving behind who you are. I will always be a Christian Black woman. Nothing about me is going to change. Now, my views may change, but about the Democratic Republican Party, no, they need to go. So my goal is, I want to see them be destroyed. That's my goal. And whatever vehicle I have to use to get to there is the vehicle I'm going to use to get there. And I think the Justice for All Party is the best vehicle to get there, because if we can get to the people that, hey, these two parties don't care about you. Look at how they vote for endless wars that have gone on 20 years. Mm-hmm.
It's convenient for them. Just say one other thing, and when it's convenient for them, they also keep them marginalized further to keep them popular. Like especially the trans thing. They love to just chop down the trans thing. Even the Democrats, because it's a little tiny minority that they can just bully around.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I think.
Another thing, Tracy, I wanted to interject regarding the wars. Sometimes we look at the monetary cost, but we also need to measure it in human casualties.
Human casualties? Look how many people there are
on both sides. On both
sides, right? There are, and I always want to talk about this. There is a genocide going on in Palestine. We all know that. But how many of us think about the genocide that our country's created in the Sudan and Congo and other countries?
And has been for decades.
Has been. And then we wonder, why doesn't anybody like America? Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why. I mean, really? We really sit here and wonder.
They're just blind to it because they're not affected by it, or they're benefiting directly off of it. Like, especially, like, I know a lot of people, like, I don't know if you met, like, for God forgive me or whatever, if you have a family in the military or whatever, but you're not going to meet anybody that has, like, a military family that's like, yeah, those wars were bad, or we're not against for the wars. They're directly benefiting it right now. They're getting all these pensions and this government insurance and government health care and everything, while everybody else doesn't get that. So they're going to be definitely favored. That's how they maintain their control. I'm very like I say, this Justice for All Party, I just really like it because I like Cornel West as a philosopher and everything else. I kind of came to this from other political movements or whatever. But, this whole idea that the people that are benefiting from this system are going to be, this system, or I hate this system, it's so bad. Even if they are going to say that, don't trust them, because they're getting money right off of that. They're getting paid by those people to say that they oppose those people. You know what I mean? Especially the Democratic Party. Oh, I hate big corporations. We're going to bring back the American worker, blah, blah, like Biden. We're going to bring back the American worker. Meanwhile, giving billions and billions and billions to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and whoever else.
I mean, Biden was the one that told a group of civil rights leaders when he lied in his acceptance speech, said, hey, I owe the Black community credit for getting me to the presidency, then turned around and told a group of civil rights leaders, no, it's not your turn. You have to wait.
Remember when he said, if you don't support me, you're not Black or whatever?
Let me tell you something. People still hate me for. I said, "Yep, he sure said it. He said it with his whole chest." And then gonna blame Charlemagne the God. Really? He made you really say you didn't think? Let me, cause see, y'all want me to go on these rants, and I got. I just think that's my goal. My ultimate goal is to see those two parties destroyed. I'm for the Green Party, the PSL party. Except for the Libertarian Party.
That's great right about now. I'm serious. I'm like, maybe not like Stalin or whatever, but I'm like, you know what? Man, anything could be better than this, man.
Yeah, because I see the destruction that they're doing, especially the Democratic Party. People, why are you so hard on the Democratic Party? Because the Republican Party, I feel like they tell me who they are. They tell me they're racist. They tell me they don't like me. Okay, I don't like you either. But the Democratic Party, what they do is
let's fight that, right?
They just do this little. We're gonna say we're for. I feel like this: when you can't even pass the Voters' Rights Act, something that even I thought, I'm like, there's no way they can mess this up.
John was voting right.
They messed it up. Not only did they mess it up, didn't even bring it back.
They could have done it posthumously because they had the sentiment on their side. A couple of things I wanted to address, Tracy, because you ran through several thoughts. Going back to war, there's this book. If you haven't read it, please. It's a short read, but it is amazing. It's called War is a Racket.
It sure is.
By Smedley Butler. At the time of his writing, he was the most decorated officer in the military, but he saw what this country did to veterans, how they chewed them up and spit them out. And he said, enough's enough. Anyway, the idea is that if we were to take the people who start the war and put them in combat, we wouldn't have wars. If we were to take their children and put their children on the front line, we would cease to have wars because they borrow our children. They use our children. And last thing I want to say about that.
And they use them for things that should be guaranteed for all Americans. When you join the military, you get free health care. Mm-hmm. When you join the military, your college is paid for. Why should a child have to join the military, risk their life, risk their being to get those things which we should already have? I said this, and I'm going to get, I'm going to move on to the next portion of my next concern because I just got a bunch of them, so I'm just going to air them out today.
Hey, just real quick. When veterans come home, they're not automatically given 100% benefits.
No, they're not. That's the other thing. They're not. Housing, they can't get
stratified as well. And if they want and deserve, which I believe every veteran who fought in a war should come home to 100% benefits. I agree. All Americans should be entitled to that, just like every nation around the world that's developed has for their citizens, but ours is not. One more thing I wanted to share. We were talking about, going over and fighting these wars. I'm reminded of what Muhammad Ali said, right? If you haven't read, looked, observed Muhammad Ali, he was a man of his time, and he was actually antithetical to everything the Vietnam War was about. So they stripped him of his boxing license. He said, I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong. No Viet Cong ever called me the blank N-word. But yet I can walk the streets of America and you'll look me dead in my eyes and call me that word without repercussions, with no problem at all. So he had the right idea. You were talking about it earlier, Elias. We'll send people of color. we'll typically send the poor, impoverished to do our battles for us. But when it comes to the elite, they'll go in. They'll go in as some general, some 4- or 5-star general, but they're not fighting on the front lines.
Sorry, I was just saying, just real quick, that Trump is a perfect example of that because he just got a doctor to write him up a note saying, "Oh, I've got bone spurs" or whatever.
5 times he deferred his draft 5 times, 4 for college and 1 for some made up bone spurs. Yes, 5. But yet now he's in charge. He's in charge.
Meanwhile, minorities can't even afford to have a doctor. You know what I mean? To write him up a bone spurs little letter essay or whatever.
Chief of the military.
Exactly. But okay, so let me get, because boy, you guys are doing really well with these comments. So we're gonna keep start with Nelson's. Nelson says it is not too late to reverse what damage the country has been suffering due to the oligarchy's control, but it's going to take the majority of people voting for a third-party candidate who has the people's needs, if I can read. Tobias wants to know, is Dr. West still working with the JFA party? Yes. I personally think Dr. West should have a regular appearance. Thank you, Tobias.
To be fair, I haven't seen him around that much, but I know he's a busy man. But yeah.
We're in agreement. We'd like to see more Dr. West with Tracy Carson.
I thought everybody supported it. Just said, me too. That's what I thought. It's a whole vibe. It's a vibe.
He said everybody.
That's what I thought. Okay, now Windra's the one that gave me this. You can't see it, but I got Pamela in the back now. She says this, and here comes my question. Tracy for convention committee. Is that an actual steering club committee?
Yeah, we're gonna have people.
Oh yeah, Windra. Yeah, that's the one that I want, because I'm like, y'all do not know how I have dreamed of a convention. Okay, so background story. Y'all know, right? I grew up, lived in, breathed Black church. That's all I grew up in. That's all I know. We had this thing called convention. That's where the denominations, they meet up and they go for training and blah, blah, blah. But the one thing I liked about convention is the women would wear their hats. I promise y'all, when we have a convention, if it's in person, I'm going to pull out church hat. Oh, I've been waiting on this one. I have been personal. I'm like, I got it. I want it. You do not know. Yes, sign me. I'm going for that one now. So I don't want to be chair of it, but put me on it, because I'm like, yes. Because I think what is happening, well, I'm going to leave my opinions, but yes, I'm for that. Thank you for that comment. The rich don't send their kids to war because they know it's pure evil. Exactly. Every other podcasters are busy covering all the trouble that Trump and Elon Musk are causing, but not as many are covering the Justice for All party movement. That is the way to fix those problems. Nelson, this is why Nelson is my cousin, because he says what I think, and I'm not like articulate enough to say. Like, I'm thinking it and I can't get it in my mind. I haven't heard anybody that exclusively covers the Justice for All party except for this podcast right here. But that's it.
Can I actually add to something that he was saying about that previous comment, the one about the rich don't send their kids to war because they know it's pure evil? I think that's a really interesting comment, because it's like, the thing is, the rich, they want to have somebody to deflect to. So it wasn't me. It was those poor people over there. It was those minorities over there that they did it. You know what I mean? So it's a perfect example of them using that to, again, just give another reason to be a hateful B word. I'm sorry, I know you don't swear. Yeah. I don't swear on here, but yeah.
Act like it's not hard, y'all. It's not hard. It's not a hard thing to do. I guess because I practice it so much, I just think, oh, it's easy. Just don't cuss. But apparently it is. Okay. So it said, by the way, the Pope is a Black American by way of lineage from New Orleans, Seventh Ward, and Haiti. I just saw a supercut of Biden's lies. He lies. Yep, you watched that Tim Black one too, where he just like clipped all of Biden's lies. He marched with the civil rights movement. He got jailed trying to see Nelson Mandela. He graduated top of his.
No, the Nelson Mandela one was rich to me. I love that one because it's like.
Yes, it's a scam.
War is a racket.
He's on with Nina. Yes, Dr. West does have
a daily bookmark. He
does have a daily podcast with Nina Turner. That is true.
Right. That's Travis Smiley's.
Yep. Yes, it's on Tim's show. Yes, he is on. He hasn't been on Tim's show in a long. He hasn't been on Tim. That's who he's talking about. Tim Black show. He hasn't been on Tim Black show in a while. Tracy in the committee. Yeah, we want that. I do too. I'm telling you, I got the church hat. It's ready. It's black, and it's got one of them ones that's got the like tears on it. Boom! I'm telling you, I got it ready to go.
Our motivations, right? That's Tracy's.
Hey, we all got our motivations. I'm like, yep, I'm bringing church hat to a political convention. That's how I roll. If you know. But what I wanted to talk about. Guys, we've been at this for an hour, and I don't even feel like I've covered half of what I want to talk about. But because I know your guys' time is limited, I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible. We've talked about what we want the justice for all parties to be, or at least you guys did. I didn't quite give my thoughts just yet. But here's what I'm thinking, and maybe we could talk about this at length. I want the justice for all party to be a party where white supremacy is not welcome. Because I feel like white supremacy is at the root of most of the things we're experiencing in this country.
Tracy, you know I talk about that all the time. Every time I've been on your show, I refer back to Dr. West's book, Race Matter.
Yes, I finally got that book. I got that book. Robin gave it to me as a birthday gift. So
right. The thesis of the book for me is that race is the most intractable issue, disease in this country. You can't do anything without it because of white supremacy. Yep. You have to deal with it. You can't go around it. You can't skirt it. You can't ignore it. You have to address it head on. Yeah. And until this country as a whole is willing to do that, then we'll continue to see the types of outcomes, the type of sophistry, the type of verbal legerdemain that we've experienced over the last 400 years since we've been here. Yep. 406 years.
Yeah, we've been here 406.
And see, that's why the right wingers don't want to have history in public schools and all that stuff, so that they don't have to teach people about all that.
Right.
Could you say that again?
DEI. Right. Go ahead. I mean,
just name it. And
when you can get rid of a Rosa Parks, you've got some serious issues. You got some serious issues.
Yeah, and that's what I want the
Jackie Robinson, to be. Right?
Exactly, and that's why I say I want.
Didn't they already get rid of him from some museum or something like that? The federal something or other.
They did, but they had to put it back. They had to put it back because the public was like.
They are stripping the African Heritage Museum in Washington D.C.
And I got a suggestion. Yeah, they're stripping that museum
of certain curated items. They're very deliberate about what they're going after.
I wonder what they're even going to do with those things. It's not going to be like they're going to bury them under or something or whatever.
Yeah, they're sending them back to the people who donated those items.
Oh man.
Yep, I said Met Gala for the Black Museum because that's what I'm like. That's what it's going to take because the government funded it. That ain't working. And I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the Met Gala. I'm going to talk about the Met Gala and why. If they send me an invitation and pay my $30,000, I'm in. I want in. But I'm not going to talk.
Why?
I will talk about that tomorrow.
So you can wear your hat.
You can wear a JFA party shirt.
But I think the thing that, again, my whole thing is destroy the duopoly and destroy white supremacy because I think they go hand in hand. I see how these two parties, I call them the uniparty. They use race to divide when I'm, I don't think, here's what I'll say. I don't think every Trump supporter is a racist. Obviously, they voted for him and they tolerate his racism for some reason, the tarnation, I know. But I don't think that they're racist. I don't think that the people that criticize, that voted for Kamala Harris, in their heart of hearts wanted to make that. That's what I want to say. I don't think the people that voted for Trump really wanted to vote for Trump. And I don't think the people that voted for Harris really wanted to vote for Harris. I think they did it because they're afraid of the other side. And what our job is to show them, hey, the Justice for All party is a better way. We have a better way than you dealing with these two parties that could care less about you. Now, of course, I know they're one party, but because you're calling them two, I'm going to call them two also. So that's my overall goal. Destroy white supremacy, destroy the duopoly.
Yes, and even to give like a communist spin to that too, you could also say the bourgeoisie pretty much it benefits off of creating fear, because then if you're afraid of the homeless and you're afraid of the trans and the gay people and the people that you don't necessarily hang around with and all that stuff, well then that's your enemy, not those rich guys that are getting all those, they're getting all their taxes cut and thrown. They don't even pay taxes, so they try to get anything that they can to deflect from themselves, but it's homeless people. Even that's a big one for even a lot of Democrats. It's like the homeless people, I don't want druggies and all that stuff. Well, they wouldn't be druggies if the society didn't just throw them away like trash and give them no jobs and no opportunities and all that.
Yeah, that thing called housing. I don't know. Why don't you build housing? Like I keep saying this.
Affordable housing.
Because then the housing values will go down. That's why. Then if they build more houses, then the housing value goes down because there's more houses available. So that's how they.
And they're in certain neighborhoods where they're persona non grata.
Mm-hmm.
You're not invited around here. We don't want to see your kind. We
we got enough
poor people. We love poor people. We just don't want to touch.
It's like, you could be over there. Be black over there. Just
right.
Be black over there. Don't come over here with that. But Tobias, you just made. I think racism is how. Thank you. This is what I've been saying the whole. This I'm definitely talking about tomorrow. The way the two parties want wars with Russia and China. Look, I can say a lot of bad things about China. They don't let their citizens practice a religion of their choice. I think that's a bad, terrible thing. They don't have freedom of the press.
They're authoritarian, Tracy.
Yes, they're authoritarian. However, are they pointing any missiles towards the United States that I know of? No. We out here got wars and overthrew governments, cutting programs, doing all this. I'm like, are they really the enemy, or is the enemy within?
The thing about China that we have.
Pardon me, I got to get my charging cord for this thing. Sorry, hold on. my charging cord for my laptop.
The thing about China that we have to, first of all, acknowledge and then respect is that they use their taxes to build infrastructure.
They sure do.
They've got bullet trains. They've got highways. They've got suspended bridges that are historical in their feat. They have increased their middle class. And this is when people talk about quality of life, I ultimately measure quality of life by life expectancy, right? And when you look at Americans' life expectancy,
it's like 70 some years.
It's around 80.1 years. And that's
I was talking about for black people. I was
okay. Of course, when white folks have a cold, we get
COVID. Yeah, we get COVID.
We die of COVID. But when you look at American life expectancy in general, it's 80.1 years. That's down to number 60th in the world. Now listen, we used to look at the peasants in China and laugh, right? Guess what? Their life expectancy has increased year over year. They're about equal with America. They're about like 79.8, and we're 80.1. So it is a veritable equal life expectancy across the board. So they're doing something right. Yeah, is it authoritarian? Are there problems there? Absolutely.
There's problems
However,
there.
when you look at life expectancy and quality of life, we're doing something objectively wrong in this country.
You know what? Here's a question I've been asking every single episode. And remember, everybody, let me go to this announcement because I said I'm gonna keep dropping this in here because we're gonna have so much fun this night. Let me get to it. Mark your calendars, August the 30th. The show will come on, but it'll be at 6 o'clock for the JFA Fundraising-A-Thon. We'll have singers, poets, and special guests because we've got a $25,000 goal we have to meet. So remember, I'll have more details as I get guests, but just remember to mark that on your calendars because we're going to have a fantastic time. But I say that because, I think when I talk about, let me see if I can get this question right. I always ask my guests to tell me if you were going to tell someone one thing, and Paris, I said one, not 15, one thing.
You're just going to point me out here?
Yeah, because you're going to give me a list. No, because I've never talked to Elias. Elias, I don't know if he goes on.
Elias, he's giving you the benefit of the doubt.
I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because I know you, bub. But anyway, one thing about if you were talking to Joe Public or Jane Public, why would
Joe
you tell
Plumber?
why would you tell them to get involved with the Justice for All Party?
Me first, or
anybody, whoever wants to go first?
Go ahead. She thinks I talk too much, so
I said no. You're gonna give me a whole list.
I'll monopolize the time with my soliloquy.
Repeat the question then again. Sorry.
If you could tell Joe Public or Jane Public one reason, and remember, I'm emphasizing one reason to join the Justice for All Party or support a Justice for All candidate, because someday we will have candidates. What would you tell them?
Well, the main thing is to bring about a real democracy. Right? I mean, I don't even need to say anything. I feel like I don't need to say anything else other than that. To have a real democracy like other countries have. There's plenty of countries that have, and there's so much things, forgive me, I don't want to rant too long, but there's so many things that we have in this country like, oh, we could never do that, all those other countries, that's impossible. You know what I mean? They treat it like it's impossible. But the thing is, other countries, like I said, for example, France, they have a real democracy where there's 3, 4, 5, 6 different candidates for public office, and they all have a chance at winning. So real democracy can't happen under a two-party system. You can call it duopoly, you can call it uniparty, whatever you want, but a two parties rigging the election so that nobody else can talk, that is not a democracy. It never has been, never will be. And I've been fired up about that since the Bernie Sanders. They're kind of like Mike McCorkle in that way of like, Bernie really opened my eyes to certain things. I don't agree with him on all the things, but really he opened my eyes to this. Like, we don't really have a democracy, or we're not even on the par with a lot of other countries out there in the world until we do these things. So the JFA is just a step in that direction.
Yep, and France was the country when they discussed increasing the age of retirement. Those people took to the streets and said, "Oh, we got something for you."
And that's one thing they'll do in European countries. They'll do it in South Korea. Remember when the president, wanted to lock everybody down and they hit the streets? He had to change his mind within 3 hours. They do that in other countries. We still have a long ways to go, and not just protest, but we have to do something that enables fear, right? Of, for, and by the people. And right now we don't have that amongst our elected officials.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you still didn't give me a reason for Jane or Joe Public to join the
I was just responding to what Elias said. Now, anybody who believes that everyone has a right to live a decent life, everyone has a right to housing, Everyone's voice should be heard or represented. Everyone should be able to hold power accountable, including the Justice for All Party, prioritizing and upholding the values, again, of equity, dignity, love, and respect for everyone. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to like them, but there's certain things that happen as far as a coalescing around certain ideologies, certain things that will allow us to move down that continuum a little easier than when we're in conflict. And you're right, Tracy, there's so much I want to say because I didn't get a chance to respond to what Elias said earlier about how they divide us and they keep us so preoccupied fighting amongst ourselves
over some crumbs.
Right.
No, we don't even get crumbs anymore. Let me backtrack that. We don't even get crumbs anymore.
Hey, can I do an ad-lib thing too real quick? Because, man, the other thing that I noticed so much too in American society is they get all the minorities thinking they're the problem. They're like, oh, well, we're not getting any power. It must be because we're not this, we're not that. No, it's just because the racists aren't going to listen to you because your skin's a different color. Or in my case, they don't want to hear, your coworkers at work don't want to hear about your gay relationship. They only want to hear about the straight ladies' relationship because they're straight or whatever. It's just so many different examples of that. But especially the thing, like black excellence is something that even a lot of white people strive for. Like they look at somebody like MLK and like, wow, this is great. Here's some great messages. But they shouldn't be expected for all black people to act like, Obama, like, yes, sir, no, sir, we're actually going to do this and properly going to do that. That's expecting way too much out of people. And so when we're put on this false standard where the white people don't have to live to that standard, they can be like, y'all are my cousin, she's my girlfriend, all that stuff. They can do that. But as soon as a black person or Mexican or a gay person starts acting like them true selves, then that's, oh my God, that's so vulgar, that's so horrible, yada yada yada,
Yeah. And if we're not palatable and non-threatening, right? If we're not accredited and articulate, then we're also persona non grata. I think what you're trying to say, we need to be more inclusive in who we are as a democracy, because a real democracy that's as diverse as America is has people who show up, who look different, who talk different, who think different than I do. And I'll never, ever fully embrace that if I don't listen, if I don't have conversation, if I don't enter into dialogue as opposed to a monologue.
You know what? I said I wasn't gonna keep y'all long. I lied. But I think what I believe that the Justice for All Party does is we embrace all people, but we don't tokenize people. I feel like
we don't otherize.
I feel like especially with the Democratic Party, because the Republicans, let's face it, if they get a black nominee for president of the United States, I'm gonna walk the streets buck naked. It ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. They never gonna nominate a woman. Their nominees will always be straight white male. Period. That's just how they roll. That's how they roll. What the Democrats do is they tokenize, i.e., the congressional black. I got a name for them, but I can't drop that racial. I can't drop it like I want to. It's not a bad word, but I said I'm gonna stop calling black people that particular word that rhymes with raccoon. I'm gonna stop using that because it hurts me to say it. So I'm like, I'm gonna stop.
Tracy, raccoon is just as bad.
I know. I'm just like, but they get what Dr. West talks about: black faces in high places. And they're paid by the same APAC, big pharma, big tech, big, and they forget about us. I mean, look at my congressperson. My congressperson is Congressman Andre Carson. He literally had a town hall that was not made public knowledge. I'm like, dude. And I love this. He only took written questions. Didn't let the audience get up and ask, what was on their hearts. No, we're only going to take written questions. What's the point? What you doing? I mean, I'll give some people credit, like the Tim Walz credit. He's having town halls where he's actually listening to people. And some of them have showed up angry. He's answered those questions. I will give credit to where credit is due. But what I won't give you credit for is when you have a town hall meeting and everybody got to write their questions, because I feel like that's that's clown foolery. Like, you've been there, what, 7? I think this is like his 9th year. No, it's his 10th. This will be his 10th year. What have you done?
It's cowardice. Yeah, it's cowardice.
It's like the whole lot of them. I'm like, y'all bunch of, I know some of y'all love Jasmine Crockett, but Tracy ain't on board. She ain't. She's just not. Because I'm like, what have y'all done?
Politics needs some soul food. Politician needs to have some soul food and some jazz. I mean, it's like Cornel said. I know people take it like it's not serious. Like when you say, keep the jazz thing in the politics or whatever. It's again because they're otherizing the black people. Because if any people met a black person, now I'm not saying all black people listen to jazz, but like I damn know sure a lot of my black family does. But if you talk to a lot of white people, they're like, I don't really listen to that. What is that? I don't do that. You know what I mean? So it's like we need to have that, put the soul back into the politics. I actually have a book that it wasn't written by Cornell, but he has like a foreword in it. It's called The Soul of Politics, and it talks all about that. We got to put the soul back into instead of just being like, how can I get reelected? Let's calculate this and calculate that so that we can have the highest chance of winning again or all that stuff, versus being our true selves and being just speaking out for what we believe is right, Yeah.
One thing I did want to address, just based on some things that you've said, Elias, African Americans aren't a monolithic group. We don't all show up the same. We're a very diverse community, right? We come from different backgrounds. We have different goals, sentiments, colloquials. And that's the beauty, right? We're a tapestry all within ourselves. However, and I think this is what you're saying, I don't know. When they see us, right? We're all the same. I'm that guy that is considered their one friend. I'm that woman that's considered their one relative. I don't have my individuality. It's stripped of me. And I'm considered, a part of this monolithic group. And if I saw one, I saw them all. If I judge one, I judge them all.
Yeah. And
no, that's basically right. Yeah, you got basically exactly what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Tobias, I think you're talking about Tim Black. I think that's who you're talking about.
No name calling.
No, because I wanted his Patreon. So I'm like, I just want to make sure that's who he's talking about. Because let this be the last word. Okay, so he was talking about Tim Black. I'm gonna let this be the last thought because again, y'all, this is turning up to be. They're all great shows. Every show I've done for the past, the 14th episode, I haven't had a bad show yet. And that's because of my guest. Because I did not go on a rant. And Nelson didn't go on a rant about Bernie Sanders being a sellout. I'm so used to him doing it. Then I'm like, okay, where's his comment? But he didn't do it today. I'm like, so Nelson, if you okay, could you put something in the comments that we can just keep it going, right? Because he does it every episode. I'm like, okay. But the reason I did this podcast is because I think, I'm going to stop saying I think. I know what the Justice for All Party has is something that this country needs. And trust and believe, I've been with the Green Party back in the day when I had black hair, like way long ago. I considered myself a Democrat. But now I feel like, okay, this is a place where I feel like I'm being heard. And if you're one of those people out there you're watching and you feel like your political views are being ignored, now not your extremist, racist, homophobic, transphobic,
nonsense,
thank you. Nonsense. But if you feel like let's put it like this, if you're tired of endless wars that sacrifice the life of soldiers.
Precious lives.
Precious lives.
Each and every one of them. On both sides.
On both sides. If you're tired of genocide after genocide after genocide, both overseas and in the United States, because there's a genocide going on in the United States that we rarely talk about. If you're tired of politicians that for some reason continually vote themselves raises, the Justice for All Party is for you. So if you're tired, like I'm tired, go to justiceforall.us. That's justiceforall.us. I want to thank everybody, and remember tomorrow. I'm not going to do like 2 weeks ago where I spent a whole hour talking about the NFL draft. That was like my funnest show ever. But Tracy's weekend review is tomorrow. I will definitely get the name of that African country straight, because that's a whole, yes, my people stand up. My people stand up. Yes, that's what I want to see. We will be on Sunday, and then Thursday at 7 p.m. I will be doing a special interview. I usually don't get to do Thursday shows, so I will be doing a Thursday show. Please tune in. I'll be going live, and I know the person's name, but I'm going to have him pronounce it, because I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. So I'm going to let him do it, and then I'm going to say it right behind him so I can make sure I'm getting it right. I'm like, I think it's Inakwe, but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't like to disrespect people like that to get their names wrong. But please tune in tomorrow and Thursday and Saturday.
Hey, Tracy?
Yes.
I don't know if you're going to give us a last word, so I'm going to interject something.
Yes, please do, because I was just about to do that.
You were talking earlier on our steering committee call that you were going to go to the movies.
Yes.
Take a day. I want to encourage everyone on this call, if you haven't already, go see the movie Sinners. It is a revelation. It is something that will haunt you days and weeks on end, and not in a bad way. It will make you really reconsider who you are as an individual, who this country is as a collective, and our roles and our responsibilities to one another. It is it's a masterpiece. I just wanted to make sure I stated that. And I guarantee you, every podcast, every video you watch on it, every review, they're going to pretty much say the same thing. Everybody can't be wrong.
You got me a lot of things to check out today, Paris. I've got a backlog now. Got the books, and then I got the movie, so I'll keep those on the list there.
That movie is so popular. Now, they recommend seeing it on the biggest screen possible, because it is also a cinematic wonder. And you know how movies come in and they go out, and they all have reservations on these big screens. Well, they're bringing that movie back next week downtown at our IMAX in Indianapolis.
Yes, it's going to be
which is one of 10 screens in the entire world, 70 millimeter, and they're bringing it back because it is so popular, and the demand. I checked online. Almost every show is already sold out.
Sold out. Yeah, it's already sold out. Yeah, because my plan today was, I'm going to go see the movies. But then here's my number one problem, and I will talk about this more. I don't like movies.
I don't either. I don't go to movies.
I am a stage play theater girl.
I don't go to movies. My son called me, Tracy. My son called me at 2:00 in the morning. He's 2 hours behind us, so it's 12 o'clock his time. He called me at 2:00 in the morning, woke me out of a sleep, and said, "Dad, I just saw the best movie I've ever seen in my life." He encouraged me to go. I don't go to movies. I can't stand the experience. But that is one that I've gone.
And it's a horror movie. I'm like, I'm not really into horror movies.
It is multi-genre.
And then it's a musical. I'm like, wait a minute, is it
musical?
No,
you have to see this thing for yourself. And I guarantee you one thing. You leave that movie theater, you're going to know that you experienced something you had never experienced before, and all the times you've been and all the times you sat and watched, you are going to have a transformative experience.
Well,
That's definitely a glowing review for sure. I will have to check it out, man.
And I'm like, okay.
Not exaggerated. Not exaggerated.
Okay, and so we're gonna let Nelson have the last word. Justice, all because we never give up, we never surrender. That is absolutely true. Everybody, Sinners is an awesome movie. It covers the sins of this country.
Beautiful.
Because the last movie I went to see was so terrible, I said never again. I went to see
Cats.
To movies, Tracy. On purpose. I went to see Cats on purpose. On purpose. I said, okay, let me just go. No, but I don't want to keep you guys. I'm like this about the worst movie. I can't believe I just done paid 50 the whole experience. But I
cleanse your palate. Go watch this movie.
Yeah,
and restore your faith.
Let's see. Yeah, because I'm like, when am I gonna go? But I'll figure out something. But I do. Tomorrow I will float this idea, and I'm not gonna do it here. This is something for the steering committee to think about, and then I will let this go. I would like someone to guest host.
Now what?
Guest host. Instead of me coming on here and doing and then someone else comes on the show from the.
Come on, Tracy! Don't internalize the white supremacy like that, man. Come on, you're way articulate. Come on.
No, I want somebody else to do at least in August, like somebody to come on. They do the interview. I'll be like in the back, like doing but I won't be on air asking the questions. I've already had somebody interview me, but not for this podcast.
Okay, yeah. So I definitely would consider that, Tracy. I think I would really enjoy interacting with your guests.
Yes, I would get the guests, but I wouldn't be on the show. And I think it'd be a good mix, because like I said, I'm not the greatest of speakers, and I wish I could communicate better. I'm thinking, well, maybe if they saw somebody else. But thank you, Elias. I really appreciate that. I don't have $20 to send you, though. I don't. I don't have $20.
Wait, for me? $20 for me?
Anytime somebody gives me a compliment, I say, I'm going to send you $20. I did it with Dr. West when he kept complimenting me. I'm like, look, stop. I ain't got no more $20 to send you.
Yeah.
So I don't have $20 to send you, but thank you for
my problem is just that I don't have the time to, like, I actually had to kind of like put some stuff aside to come here, but I felt like it was important because I just got off the phone with my other friend, and he's a white guy, but he's very, very anti-fascist as well, and homeless, so it's really, really real for him too. So we were just really going off about the Nazi regime, and I was like, you know what? I better get on here and talk about this Nazi regime, because if we don't now, then seek now or forever hold your peace, or whatever.
Good for you, and we're glad that you joined us.
We are.
Thank you so much.
We are glad. So everybody, I will see you tomorrow at 6:00 p.m. As promised, I will talk about the Met Gala, because I'm a closeted fashionista. I got to talk about it, but I will talk about some important things too. But remember to subscribe. If I don't say anything else, subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell that lady with 20 cats, tell the lady down the street, tell the person across the way, get on the phone, tell them to subscribe. The only way we're going to get this podcast to who it needs to be seen by is to have that subscriber base. I appreciate everybody. We've had another fantastic discussion. Remember finally to sign up for my mailing list if you're interested in getting the Tracy Media list of shows that'll be coming up for the next month. That'll come out next month, but I'll make more reminders about that later. Thank you. I'm going to take everybody down, and we're going to do the outro.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. Thank you, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. But that's tomorrow, actually, so I'll do it tomorrow.